Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jacob Fisher, and today we're talking pre-IPO stocks. When a stock wants to get listed on the public stock market where you and I can invest, they need to have an IPO. Through an IPO, a stock can essentially raise capital from outside investors like us. Most of the time, private companies will have private investors owning parts of them or, shares of them at a much lower price than what they IPO at. This allows the private investors to take advantage of a much higher percentage gains, really, and maybe they can realize those gains when the stock IPOs. So how does a normal investor get into a stock pre-IPO? There's a number of ways you can get into stocks in a pre-IPO situation, that I wanted to cover before we get into how to actually invest in startup companies pre-IPO. Only two ways though, so it'll be pretty quick. Number one is SPACs, or special purpose acquisition companies, kind of allowing you to invest in something before they fully become a full-fledged company, because a SPAC allows a company to merge with another company. For example, Fisker was a recent company brought to the stock market by joining up with SPAQ, which is a SPAC, also kind of spells SPAC or sounds like SPAC. You could have gotten into SPAQ for $8 to $14 a share, depending on when you got in. But now FSR, which is the new ticker that SPAQ became, is trading at $22.18 a share. When they first went public in October, they were trading at $10 a share. So you might have been down a little bit on the initial part, or you could have, if you bought at $8, you'd be up. But now, of course, they're much higher, 100% higher than the $10 range. The merger could also have not gone through, and you'd be out of luck in just that SPAC. Number two, you could get a job at a startup and be paid in stock. I know, totally different than investing, but it is a way to get shares of a company pre-IPO. You could also do what the graffiti artist who was hired to paint Facebook's early headquarters did, which is to be paid in stock rather than dollars. He essentially got what seemed like 5 million shares of Facebook in 2005, because in 2012, when Facebook IPO'd, his stock options were worth $200 million. 200 million divided by 38 a share during the IPO is 5 million shares. Seems like a lot to give out, or they could have just paid him 60K cash. So I don't know if that would have converted properly, like 60K, you would have bought Facebook. Anyway, I'm not an artist though, so let's move into the options for other people. And you don't need to be a shark or on Shark Tank to get into companies. Investing pre-IPO is certainly risky though, so don't expect to be striking gold your first time you buy a pre-IPO stock. You can invest as little or as much as you want. But thanks to the Jobs Act, you can invest in companies with as little as $100, which makes me want to try out some stuff out here. Let's start with the websites that allow you to invest in companies. There are 3 sites that I've found while researching this topic: EquityZen.com, OurCrowd.com, and SharesPost.com. All of these sites have promising pre-IPO stocks in the past, so it seems like it would not hurt to sign up with them, or all of them, and explore each site and each company you found on there, and then invest in your chosen investment. Beyond Meat was on Our Crowd for what looked like to be a price of $20 to $25 a share that you could have bought on their site. Beyond is currently trading at $140, and they hit a high of $234 a share, but IPO'd at $66. So you would have immediately made about 200% on your initial investment. That's not so bad. DoorDash was on Shares Post, and it seems like you could have invested $100 in October, which has now tripled. Nice. EquityZen had Airbnb listed on it, and it seems like you could have gotten in for $50 a share, but they IPO'd at $140 and are currently trading at $183. This is just within 1 year of IPO as well. I'm sure if you invested in these companies many years ago, then it would have been a much larger gain. They just don't publicize the exact share price that you could have gotten in for companies that already IPO'd. Some exciting companies that I noticed while looking was Rivian on EquityZen. They are an electric car company that I think is promising. Virgin Hyperloop is on Shares Post, which is like a technology for high-speed traveling underground. Elon Musk helped to found it. Our Crowd has some fun-looking ones that are a bit easier, or at least earlier on in the company building process. So I'm not sure about them, but it could be more promising in the future. Other ways to invest in pre-IPO companies are to talk around with local clubs or small banks in your area. A quick search for me finds Denver angel investors on the front page of Google. First page Google. Don't even need to go digging. I'm sure you need more than $100 to join, but they might let you in if you present your case much better than just asking to join because you wanted to invest in the companies with $100. It's a very solid way to get into small companies that are really just in the first initial phase of maybe a few thousand in sales or a couple 100,000 sales a year. It's like a mini Shark Tank adventure for anyone who wants to get into venture capital and has the capital for it. I would think that an investment of $1,000 to $10,000 could drastically change the outcome of an up-and-coming business. Unfortunately, many of the firms do not have publicly stated successful companies, but they still seem to charge around $100 or $1,250 a year, which is a pretty hefty price to join a club to pay money in startups. That's enough for a couple high annual fee credit cards. They do start funding as low as $250K, but I think, or I'd imagine that most of the money gets pulled together from the members in the club, so each member doesn't need to toss out $250K at a single time. Though maybe they do, I have no idea. Let me know what kind of pre-IPO companies you're looking to get into and if you're gonna go the venture capital route or the website route in the comments below. I upload videos on Monday and Friday on travel and finance, so if that sounds like something interesting to you, hit that little subscribe button down there. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.